Okay, so we are back. Once again, the voice is not yet. Because listen, this weekend was about having fun. No, not on Kingpin, but at the breakdown, exclusive non-disclosure agreement signed, activities that went on in Arizona. And Misfits number 7 was a great event in its own right. It had its highs and lows. It had its forecast of great fights, some foreshadowing for what we may get next, and even for arms like Mortal Kombat's Goro. And that's what we're here to discuss today. Yes, talking about the thing between KSI's shoulder blade and his right hand that is not allowed to be used in the boxing ring. It's the elbow. That's not the only thing I want to talk about. I do want to discuss the fight between KSI and Joe Fournier. Did we get any more answers, or like I said, just more questions? I want to talk about the techniques involved, why the elbow actually happened, and what are the ramifications of it? What's next for KSI? All those questions, I know you want answers, and I got you covered. So it's time for the breakdown. Let's go. All right, so like I said, KSI versus Joe Fournier. Let's talk about the fight. This was, what everyone said, and myself included, KSI's biggest test to date. This was going to be the one that showed what his level was going to be versus a pro boxer at this time, 5 years into the game. Where was he at? Well, I gotta say, just right off rip, he just didn't get enough. He didn't get enough time in the ring, or JJ being pressured, pushed, or put in uncomfortable situations. There was, like I said, a lot of questions, and even coming out of this fight, I have even more. But there are some things that we do know. KSI is fast, he is twitchy, he doesn't throw from orthodox angles, he doesn't throw orthodox punches, he doesn't throw orthodox combinations, he just throw. Whether it's your chin on the right side, your chin on the left side, your body, he is going to do whatever he has to get there. Now, that isn't to say there wasn't strategy, right? You did see KSI trying some things in this fight. One of the things that I thought he did well was work the body early, right? Establish his jab to the body early. He was a little more patient early than we usually see him, where he just comes out blitzing, here we go, it's my time, quick, fast, in a hurry. He did land a jab right hand kind of close to the start of the fight that did get Joe Fournier's attention, and it just gave you the idea that Joe was in his head going, hold on a second, that guy's a little faster, or maybe a little bit more quick than I thought he would be, and it did put Joe in a little bit of a position where he needed to sit and feel KSI out, and that was the majority of the first round. Joe didn't really have any offense, and with that comes things that I didn't like from KSI in this fight. And this is me being critical because I do want to see him go to that next level. I understand he has something he calls the flyby, which is basically him just changing angles back and forth on his way in. It was something that he's done a couple of times now, and it's a big tell as to what's coming. And Joe Fournier, even at the age of 40, was able to see it and was able to break a bit of the timing by just simply disengaging from KSI. And I know that people are impressed with his quickness, his speed. I am too, and sometimes even his footwork when he goes bladed and he's feinting in and he's back out and he's feinting and then going. There are some things that are just called wasted movements, and I think those are some of the things that KSI doesn't even need to do. Like, he does need different little things that give him advantages because he's not an orthodox boxer. You can rely on those things without wasting energy, in my opinion, and wasting movement, especially early on, because once you show that, once you've gone to it a couple times, now Joe's seen it. But then there's the other side. It's the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of KSI. Dr. Jekyll is very patient. He's bladed, he's bouncing, he's throwing feints, he's jabbing to the body, he's right hand upstairs, all that, phenomenal. Cardio, perfect. Crazy shape, amazing. And then there's the Mr. Hyde, and that guy is very wild. He's reckless to a point of a fault in those moments. And you saw a little bit of this in the first round, not too much, but more so in the second, where if he was initiating his exchanges, it wasn't really a massive deal. Yeah, there were some overthrown right hands, and that's something we've come accustomed to, not just from KSI, but in the influencer boxing scene in general. And KSI, like I said, doesn't throw the most technical shots. And I know we clown Pineda for the shots behind the head and all those things, but it is a reoccurring theme. KSI does throw shots that, not on purpose, but inadvertently, because they are a little bit more wild and they're more kind of hammer fists, do wrap around the head and land behind the head a tad bit. This is where JJ wants to land that shot, clean on the chin. And I know that because his Muay Thai elbow landed more flush than any shot he threw, and it's exactly what should happen when you land a shot on the switch. It went off. In the second round, KSI came out, and I thought, again, started on the right game plan. Boom, jab upstairs, right hand to the body. And then again, you know, once he throws just that simple combination, that boom, boom, he's coming with that overhand. And Joe started to see it. He started to get out of the way of it and tried to counter off. But again, KSI speed, quickness, knew when he was in danger, got in and out pretty quickly. Joe wasn't able to really follow up. But Joe did land a couple of jabs here and there, and it was off KSI continually throwing his jab, level change, head inside. Joe started to find his. They were both kind of trading there, but again, it did show that Joe was trying in there, right? It wasn't necessarily him being super successful, but he had some little moments here in the second round. But again, KSI, younger, faster, stronger. It looked like as long as this fight was going to go on, KSI was at some point going to find the switch. And based on Joe's reactions to punches earlier in the fight, it was going to hurt him badly. But around 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the second round, there's an exchange between Joe and KSI where instead of staying on center line, first time I saw Joe do this, and engaging in the jab fest between him and KSI, where both guys would trade their jabs, head here, and both get caught and reset. Here we go again. Joe just left the door open on him. Instead of actually like staying here and throwing his jab, throws his jab but shifts his hips to get ready for this right hand down the pipe. So instead of being here, he just boom, shifts and throws his right hand down the pipe. KSI barely whizzes by Joe's face. The right hand comes behind it, and it catches KSI clean on the temple. Granted, again, it didn't hurt KSI in the least bit. But my question is, what happens when a better skilled, younger, more fit, faster, more powerful individual starts to find those same holes in KSI's game? And then we get to the finale, or as my girl Adele would say, and or a Nissan Gibb would put in his video, this is the end. Joe Blow gets cracked by an elbow, and the referee doesn't bother to count to 10. Okay, I ain't got enough voice to be doing that, but like I said, here's the end sequence of the fight, and it actually starts out with KSI landing a major shot, and it is that big overhand right, and it's set up off his blitz like it has been, and it's so odd. As KSI throws this right hand, look at where it starts from. It doesn't start here and throw or start here and around. It starts here and almost goes straight up and then comes out and then smashes over the top, like I was telling you guys earlier, with that hammer fist kind of style where he's basically trying to dunk on someone or like arm wrestle the air, but absolutely wobbles Joe Fournier for a bit there. And Joe starts to look for his legs, and in this position, Joe is hurt. Now, I saw some people say he was gonna fall down anyway. He was just wobbling on his feet, and he was gonna be knocked down, and he was gonna fall. That wasn't gonna happen. But one clean shot from KSI right here, I would agree if he lands one more big one that Joe hits the canvas. That wasn't even a clean shot that KSI could land. If he lands a real clean shot here, yeah, absolutely. Show's over, walk off KO, we all go home, happy days. But that's not what happened, at least not on second look. So as we see here, and we're gonna take this frame by frame so we don't mess anything up. KSI tries to follow up with the right hand to the body, and Joe comes across with, I guess, more of a hooking right hand where he's trying to clinch here. KSI gets his underhook caught, and this is where we see the elbow, right? So KSI, let's run it back. Right hand upstairs. Right hand coming back to his face, just kind of gets caught in the in-between, right? Joe, kind of like I said, hooking right hand, not necessarily a punch, more so I think he's trying to grab, and KSI is just there. And so he's like, I got to clinch because I'm hurt. KSI goes underhook, which, to be honest, is a pretty decent position for this shot, because if you can go overhook and get in a little overhook fight there, it's kind of tougher to free yourself up. But underhook, as KSI gets here with Joe on the overhooks, which is a better position technically for boxing, is one, you're putting your weight on him, and two, you're keeping arms from coming across the top and not allowing things to get to you, like KSI's left hand there, which I think was just kind of there. Maybe it was him trying to throw a little short hook, but Joe gets over that, neutralizes that lead hand essentially. But me as an MMA guy, Muay Thai guy, I understand the value of underhook in certain positions as well. And KSI inadvertently gets an underhook here, but also it gives him momentum to pull Joe into him for what he wants to be a short right hand here, and he misses or grazes Joe's face with a bit of the back of his glove, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but misses that shot and serves Joe up a full forearm / elbow to the jawski, and Joe, well, he is dead. And we all go crazy because what a right hand, but we have to call a spade here, guys. Whether KSI meant to do it or not, that same elbow is illegal, no matter the circumstance, and we're going to talk about it. So like I said, here we are in this same position again. A lot of people had said, well, wait, listen, KSI made contact with the glove first, therefore it's a legal shot and not an elbow that ended the fight. It should be a win for KSI, and to those people, you're wrong. That is not what happened, and that's not even the grounds for what legality is with the shot that KSI landed. KSI falls into an underhook, right? Joe trying to grab, looking for the clinch. KSI again, and this is where I wanted to explain more of why KSI lands with the elbow here and doesn't land as cleanly as he probably could have in this shot and in others when it's there for the taking. It's KSI's technique. As you see him throw this shot, right? One, look at where this right hand comes from. And I get it. He's not looking to be super technical in this clinch, but this would have saved him from doing this. It would have saved him from landing the shot he landed with the elbow. You see this right arm here. He's throwing here, right? And this is why when he comes here, it goes past and that lands. Because when KSI throws, technique here, elbows here, we have a lesser chance for that elbow to land. It may land, and it's happened in boxing fights before, which is why I say this is not KSI's fault. It became a big thing because the technique wasn't as sound as it needed to be in this exchange. If it was a Muay Thai elbow he was throwing, this is beautiful. If it's a punch he's trying to throw, which I think it was, I don't think this was intentional from KSI, his technique would have saved him here, because as we watch, you see where that hook is, and again, it's the right idea. And because Joe's head moves off where it originally was, KSI is not as accurate as he wants to be. Short arms the hook this way instead of turning that thing over and really throwing lead with the fist and the punch first and the elbow following through behind. You see it potentially graze, right? Potentially. And again, we're going to get back to that. You see the impact. And again, I'm going frame by frame here just so everyone can see that this impact, if anything happens on the glove, it is right here. This is not a legal punch. And again, it is more forearm and wrist at that point, and the major impact comes there. That is where the impact happens. Look at Joe's muscles tense up. His face broken. Boom. Now, in that moment, if you're KSI, I don't blame him for not knowing that he just threw an elbow that knocked out Joe Fournier. You're in a fight, your adrenaline's going, cortisol flowing through your body. There's fight or flight mode going on. You're just trying to survive in there, and you're trying to get this guy out of there. You're pumped up. You just have a knockout. You threw a right hand, so maybe you thought you landed a right hand. I don't blame him in the slightest because he probably hadn't seen the replay. And we're going to get to JJ's statement today, but I do have to wonder, for the people that are around JJ, and specifically Misfits, the promotion, their explanation for it is a bit of a questionable one. After they had already seen the replay of what happened, this is what Callie Sauerland had to say, and this one I do have some issues with.
In my opinion, if I'm completely honest, it does look like the elbow landed before the punch. Callie Mams as well, if Joe wants to go to the commission and have a word with that, is there going to be anything done about that? Or?
Right, let me just quickly take that. You're a boxing reporter, or what's your background?
Yes, I'm a boxing reporter.
I've never seen you at a boxing press conference before.
You have, because I was...
So immediately, I'm already kind of looking at this going, what was the point of saying that, Callie Sauerland? Callie Sauerland just asked this guy who brought up a legitimate question and said, hey, I watched the replay, and it did look like the elbow landed. And then, yeah, he said, okay, Joe may go and talk to the PBA or, try to get this thing overturned or into a no contest, whatever. And I know he said that Joe had thought it was purposely done, which I don't agree with, but that Joe would potentially try to pursue some sort of action from the commission. The first thing Callie Sauerland, who is, again, one of the heads of Misfits Boxing, says to this guy is, what do you do? I've never seen you at a boxing event. Immediately trying to, I don't know what that was, maybe downplay the guy's expertise when it didn't take an expert to see what happened, or trying to flex his pro boxing experience in the world and being a part of some big fights. That is what got me already going, hold on. That response, that should tell you something.
What angles you see?
I can show you right now.
Yeah, you can show me afterwards, but we've answered the question on it. There's one angle, I'll give it to you totally right. One angle looks like a straight elbow, absolutely. But there's also the key angle, if you look at behind the head, that's the angle that you look at the commission. That's the angle where you see which part, when the head moves. If the head moves, then clearly there's impact. Are we agreed on that? So look at the angle from behind the head.
So then, again, this is another weird part. Callie Sauerland doubles down on it again. This is, again, one of the heads of Misfits going, well, what angles have you seen? And this guy said, hey, I'll show it to you. We've all seen it. It's not some secret. No one's saying that KSI did it on purpose. I included do not think he did it on purpose, but it is what it is. It happened. So address it truthfully. And then Callie, to try to finish off the argument that was fortified and prime bottles and paper mache to begin with, says if you didn't see the back view, and even says the commission, look at the back view, that's the clear view, that's the official view from what happened, and when contact is made, the head will move. Well, Callie Sauerland says let's take a look at the back view because that's the official view. Let's take a look at it. All right, so here is the back view. Boom, KSI right hand to the body. Right hand, again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, KSI right hand to the body. Right hand, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, KSI right hand to the body. Right hand, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to clinch from Joe. It's actually a decent frame from KSI, but here comes the back view. And once again, more just looking to He said when contact is made, the head will move, right? They were talking about the hair and some other stuff. There's no contact here. This is where the contact happens. Boom. There's where the head moves. The head is moving here as the little wrist touches. The punch doesn't do a damn thing. I don't want to be the one to show you guys this, but look at when the head really starts moving. Because we get a little something here on the wrist. Cool. But look at this. That is when the head takes a major move. Boom. Then, for the question the reporter actually asked, what would the PBA do if Joe were to then go and try to appeal or file a complaint? Well, I do have the actual PBA rule set for what happens in these specific situations. If Joe is to pursue it, this is what their rule book says. 27.3.1. An accidental foul causes an injury severe enough for the referee to stop the bout before the fourth round has been completed. The bout will result in a no decision or AKA a no contest. I even saw one of KSI's coaches coming out and saying, well, they should have just divvied up who was winning the fight. That's not what's in the PBA rule book. It was, again, only a round and some change. They hadn't even gone through 2 rounds. So this would rightfully be a no contest. But here's the thing. Who gives a It is not a knock on KSI to have received a no contest. It's not like he wanted and willingly did something to cheat. Why would he do that? And he was having success in the fight. There's no reason to do it. Obviously, Joe is going to say that he did it on purpose because it happened to Joe. But no, he didn't do it on purpose. It was unintentional. This fight, which I said I didn't know what it actually did for KSI other than give him another camp to get better before KSI and Jake, or now what it looks like KSI and Tommy. So no, you don't run it back with Joe Fournier. It's no offense to Joe, but it doesn't make sense to do it. It was already bordering on, what are we doing here? Tell the truth of what happened, then leave it in the past, move forward. It is what it is, and we keep it rolling. That's simply what it should have been and what it should be from now on. And KSI, I think, is trying to do that because he had a response today. I worked very hard for this fight and had an intense and grueling camp. There's no better feeling than being in that ring and having my hand raised in front of my loyal and amazing fans, who I appreciate so much. Unfortunately, the victory, which was inevitable no matter what, is tarnished, and I hate that. It sucks. Again, this is KSI speaking on a fight that he was in and he was having success in. I don't mind him saying that the victory was inevitable. Do I agree with him? I think yes, it was. Is that the fact? No, but it doesn't matter. He was in the fight. He was confident in the ability. He was confident in the success he was having and that he would continue to do so. Cool with me, whatever. After landing my overhand, he was pretty much out on his feet, and I went for a short right hook as Joe clinched and fell into me. I know a lot of people were like, oh, he wasn't out on his feet. He wasn't out on his feet. Out on his feet, wobbly, the same thing to me. Joe was hurt. That's the correct terminology. Joe was hurt and looking to stop the action because he was hurt, looking to get to a safe place because he was hurt. He didn't want to stand at range with KSI and continue doing that, which is why he clinched. So again, verbiage aside here, KSI is right. Joe was hurt. I landed that hook and my glove made contact, but appears to have been followed by an unintentional contact with my forearm. Well, here's where KSI is a bit wrong. He didn't land that hook. Any shot landed on the wrist of the glove is not an actual scoring shot. That's pretty much standard for any boxing rule book. The fist of the glove is where the shot lands. That's what a scoring shot is, the fist of the glove. That didn't land on Joe. The back of the glove / wrist did. It was followed by an unintentional forearm / elbow, but it was the shot that knocked Joe out. I'm gutted that it's not as clean a win as I wanted, and it feels like it diminishes my hard work with my trainers. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate the support. Sorry to all the fans disappointed with it. No one is more so than me. So again, he got the win, and we'll have to see what PBA is going to do with this. If I'm dead honest, I don't know they're going to overturn this. But for JJ, if you're watching this, dude, yes, the elbow landed. And there's no way around that. It just did. But it doesn't diminish any of the things that you did in camp. It doesn't diminish your performance up until that point. It was a mistake. It was an accident. None of us that actually watch the fight and understand what you were trying to do think that was intentional. Just understand that what you did up to that point, super impressive. And no matter what, building off that hard work and getting right back into camp like I hear he is, that's the route to go. And that's exactly what I expect out of him. So, like I said, it's the Max Holloway thing right now. It is what it is. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, but at the same time, it's nothing to dwell on. Time to move on, and if KSI really wants that Tommy Fury fight, it's time to step the levels up. Because Tommy is not Joe Fournier, and he's not like anyone else that KSI has ever fought. This one, I can guarantee you, is his biggest test. So what happens next for KSI? I don't have those answers, and right now, no one does. But I guess we'll find out.